Okay, welcome to the Kaipara District Council full council meeting, Wednesday, 27th of August, 2025. Everybody here today at Tangata. Firstly, we move to item 1.1, apologies. We have apologies from Councillor Manderson and Councillor Erin Morsky-Collins. I'll move that. Can I have a second up?
Again, second.
So, Mr. Mayor, can I just interrupt for two ticks? I think we should do an apology for lateness for Councillor Vincent, because we know he is trying to get in as well.
And welcome Councillor Paniora online as well. Okay, just put that to the vote. All those raise their hands. Aye. Hence motion carried. Thank you. Confirmation of the agenda. I'll move that. Can I have a second, please? Thanks, Councillor Howard. Put that to the vote. All those in favour raise their hands. Aye.
Aye.
Hence motion carried. No conflicts of interest declared today. No public forum. I'll move that we confirm the previous open minutes. Can I have a second, please? Councillor Williams. All those in favour raise their hands. Aye. Aye. Motion carried. Okay, next on the agenda is item 4.1, Local Water Done Well Water Service Delivery Plan, Commitment Agreement and Funding for Phase 1. I will move that. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Now. And I'd like to welcome Helen Ronaldson, Marlon Bridge, and David Hawkins and Vanessa from DIA. Thank you for making the effort to make the drive up here this morning, various parts of the country. And Marlon, I understand you're in home country. You've got your local marae down the road here. Yeah, so
it's down the road.
Isn't that
being here.
That's something. Thank you.
On to be up. And his mother's more than likely going to turn up. Sorry about that.
All right, so look, let's have a presentation and we'll take questions after so that we can all intently listen. Thank you. Helen.
So there is no presentation today. It was really just a matter of, so through the chair, we brought the Water Services Delivery Plan to you today, as we have discussed previously and as we shared in the briefing earlier in the month. We also brought the commitment agreement to you, which was agreed in July to go forward with, to go into the next stage with our fellow Northland District Councils, so that we can continue to establish the CCO. And the other part of the request today is a request for unbudgeted funds. There is a commitment to funding in the commitment agreement, and we agreed that all the councils would share those costs equally for this phase. And for the contribution, so we're asking for a $500,000 contribution from each council, and for Kaipara, $350,000 of that will come from the Better Off funding, where there was money allocated to local water done well transition. So we will utilise those funds first before we utilise any council funds. So in the Water Services Delivery Plan, the key part of that links into the commitment agreement is the implementation plan. And the implementation plan outlines how we're going to go about setting up our CCO. So there are points through that journey where we will reconfirm our commitments to going forward together and establish a plan to establish the CCO entity, incorporate it by 1 July next year, with the intention to commence operations in 1 July 2027. Okay. So as we've discussed before, the Water Service Delivery Plan, there's a lot of information in there. A lot of it is collated, 3 councils' information brought together and collated and joined together. The next stage, we will go through all of that information and make sure that we're bringing it from a CCO perspective, so that we're looking at it as one rather than 3 lots of information coming together. So some of what we see in that will be refined and it will evolve as we go through and make those decisions. But the key part today is that we have a legislative requirement to submit the Water Services Delivery Plan by the 3rd of September, which is fast approaching. And but I noticed that we're not alone. There's an awful lot of council meetings happening the 26th, 27th and 28th of August to do exactly the same as what we're doing today. So there's so much information in there that I don't feel like it's worth talking through huge amounts of it. the numbers have been collated from all three councils and joined together for a CCO perspective for the two waters, for water and wastewater. And then each of the stormwater sections are done by separate council because those assets will remain with each individual council. So I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Howard.
Thank you. This has all come together pretty fast.
Yes.
If it was found that there was a significant item or items actually missing from the detailed schedule of projects, including, is it possible that that can be corrected down track, added?
If it's known about today, or if it's known about by next Tuesday, we should be including it. If it's known about, okay, there's lots of ifs, buts and maybes that could be included, and each council is having to make decisions about what to include and what, like, we don't know the answer to this yet. So some things are not being included. The next, when we are forming the CCO, we have to prepare a water services strategy.
Yep.
And that will be an opportunity, as I say, to refine the information in here and for it also to evolve to be coming from that CCO perspective. So that is another opportunity for any other items to come onto the table if they need, if that is required.
How far is that?
That is required. We have to have that prepared 6 months prior to commencement of operation. So it will be the end of next year.
Okay, cool.
Based on the current.
And I do have another question, if I may, just as a general one. I look at page 65 of the plan, and I got to say it's very, very detailed, everything. But it's interesting when we see, this is the slide I'm talking about, that we go within a gnat's hair of the maximum threshold of the water borrowing limit.
Yep.
For a good number of years. Is there any, and we're all projecting ahead at the moment and doing on best possible calculations. What happens if we actually happen to go over that threshold?
So you're talking about that line at 350%.
Yep.
So there is, so within the local water done well legislation, there is capacity to go to 500%. It's the intention of the CCO though to keep headroom for unforeseen events. So skating close to that self-imposed level is probably not such a big issue, but provided it's not what
500 would be though.
500 would be out of bounds, absolutely. But if we are, and if we were sitting at the 350 permanently, we'd probably need to be rethinking some of what's going on. But to be touching it and then coming away when we know that the reason that it's happening is that there are 4 large projects completing in 1 year, that is, so we know why that is happening at that point in time.
All right. Yeah, well answered. Thank you.
Councillor Lambeth, followed by Councillor Maire.
Just thank you through them. Just to follow right on from that, the drop off in that green line there for projected growth. Does this show projected growth in the district?
Projected growth is included in those numbers, yes.
So Naya.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So thank you for coming here all the way, as I said before, Marvin and David. So my concern is only one, which I've raised many times. Obviously, this is based on projections, and the projections are based on informatics. But we haven't looked at how we actually grew in last 3 years to project it. We have just used what are the future plans and how many more developments going to happen and how much more capacity we need. So we have gone to the level of extreme calculations, which means that from a debt level of 44 million, which we couldn't pay a cent for 10 years, we are extending our capability to borrow more under the CCO to more than 200%, 260 or something, whatever percent we're going for. So my concern is,
Please.
that's the question is, sorry about the whereabout. I just wanted to give a context. So the 260% debt level is unaffordable, even if we are just servicing it and not paying a cent back. So it comes to about more than 15% interest rate increase.
So what is your
That's to
question,
the
please,
service sector.
Councillor Maire? Can you ask?
So it's not, it's unaffordable. That's what I'm trying to say.
What is your question? You're asking
My-
questions. You're not making statements.
I'm asking the question, Mr. Mayor.
Ask the question, please.
The question is, why can't we go for a level which we can sustain? Why we are having the extreme possibility of borrowing to 260%, because we can go to 500%, because history tells us that we have not been able to.
So that's your question. Thank you.
So you're talking about the CCO level of debt?
Yes, the one we are going in under the three
Okay.
setup.
The measures of revenue and both operational revenue and development contributions are sufficient to sustain that level of debt, because otherwise we'd be failing the financial sustainability measures, which currently we're not. And so there is, so that it is affordable at that, on that scale.
That scale is unreasonable. That's what I'm saying. So development contribution, which are calculated based on this lending, are unaffordable. $60,000 each.
Ask the question, please. Don't make statements. Thank you.
So I'm sorry, I'm not entirely sure what your question is.
So my
If the affordability measures and the financial sustainability measures are what is demonstrated in the document, and they have been previously reviewed. They have already been under a first review from the DIA, who have confirmed that the numbers are sufficient. Some of them don't look brilliant to start with, but we do come into the right range towards the end of the 10-year plan. But there is, so I appreciate what you're saying, but the economy of scale with the three councils together give us a greater leverage and greater revenue level across all three councils to be able to sustain that level of debt.
that's exactly my question is that we are going for the maximum possible.
That's not the question. You're making a statement now.
As I just explained to Councillor Howard, we're trying, the CCO will be intending to not go for the maximum possible level of debt.
Thank you.
We will be trying to,
That's what I was.
we need to keep headroom for unforeseen events.
That's what I. Thank you.
Look, while we've got the people here that are intimately involved from the DIA, etc., there's some questions that I'd just like you to, not for my own benefit, but for the council. Could you give us a description of the fact that we have a BA business as usual till 27, and could you talk about the off ramp so that we've got a situation where there are still decisions that can be made along the way? Thank you.
Okay, so this is outlined in the implementation plan, which is in part A of the water services delivery plan. It's one of the key elements of this whole plan, right? Because it is the one that our friends from the DIA will be monitoring to make sure that we follow through on. The rest of it, they know things will change as the CCO evolves and comes to fruition. Within the implementation plan, there is a timeline of activities between now and when the CCO is expected to commence operations. And within this next period, which is what the commitment agreement is about, is when we're going to work collaboratively together, all three councils, to work out what our principles are for the foundation of this entity. How are we going to work together into the future? What does it look like? And that's going to cover all sorts of topics in terms of investment prioritization, in terms of engagement, in terms of where are our locations going to be? Things like some of them are really simple like that, and some of them are really fundamental, like investment prioritization. So those principles will be worked through. Okay, what we've established in this, an agreement with the working group, which is as you know, people from all three councils. What we've organised with the working group and agreed with them is that there are 2 points along the way where we will recommit to working together on this. Right, one is at March, when we intend to have the foundational principles established. Okay, so this is making those key decisions on the points about how we're going to work together going forward. So that's one point where we'll reconfirm that we are all still aligned. And then 3 months later, when we intend to have the foundation documents ready, which is the shareholder agreement, the transfer of assets agreement, and the constitution for the CCO, when we have those documents ready to be executed and the company to be incorporated, that's a second decision point where we confirm. So yeah, June 26, where we reconfirm that we are fully aligned and going forward. So the terminology off ramp has been used there where people could make different decisions. We're preferring to call them confirmation commitments because we want to know that we are aligned along the way. It's not, I think the term off ramp is negative and indicates that we're potentially looking for outs and we're not committed to this. The intention is that we are fully committed to this, but we have to be really aligned as we go forward at these points.
And I think it's important to say the working group believe those were the appropriate time to make those decisions, and there's been a lot of discussion around that.
Any further questions?
I have it.
So now followed by Councillor Larson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just as you said that there is May or something, whenever, after the elections, the new council can also make amends in terms of the capital projects in the kitty. So looking at the debt level, not 200%, but for example, the new council decide we're not going to go so far. The two projects are too expensive and we're going to go for a debt level which is sustainable.
What's your question, please?
We can do that? That's the question, yeah.
So within this,
Answered.
so part of the foundational principles will be determining the appropriate debt level that the CCO will
That will be in May.
operate at. So no, this will be with the foundation principles we're hoping to have established by March. By March 26. We appreciate there will be a new elected member body, so different thinking may come in, but we've got the intention set in the Water Services Delivery Plan, and that will be what is tested as we establish the foundation principles.
Thank you.
Councillor Larson.
Oh, thank you. Just a little point on pages 22 on have the wastewater section, which set out in a table the various schemes across the districts, and if you then go to page 23, in the table you have a row that's labelled as areas that do not receive water services. I think you mean areas that do not receive wastewater services.
Yeah, we could change that. Water services is a term generally used across water and wastewater. So those are the water services that are provided.
The table that is contained within is table 6, which says service areas for joint CCO wastewater services, and you've listed them, and then you say these ones don't have water services, but some of them do have water services. They have
That's I will note that as a correction, as a minor correction to make.
It applies to both. It starts at page 20, because in the water supply section you do the same thing. You say that they don't have water services, but some of them do have water services. They have wastewater services.
And the same will be true in the stormwater section, I imagine. So I will clarify those as well in each of those tables. Thank you.
So Howard.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. This is probably one for you, David, from a DIA point of view, and it's more of a general question. We know and we hear that there have been changes in some of the planned or proposed CCOs in recent times, not the least of which being Bay of Plenty in Coromandel. So out of that, there's been a district, and there's probably other areas of the country that are the same. Is there any chance that those anomalies or those situations might impact any delays in the whole process?
Armin's better to answer that, because he's been involved with a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you talk about delays, do you mean asking for extensions of time, or?
Well, yeah, and have an overriding effect in terms of overall implementation of the plan.
The simple answer is no, because a lot of the CCOs or joint arrangements have a commencement date of 1 July 2027.
Yep.
So there's plenty of time within that timeframe to sort out those things of who's in, who's not part of an arrangement.
Yep.
So I think there is still plenty of time to work through that.
And are there other groups of councils other than Bay of Plenty, Tauranga, Thames that are going through this Last minute.
Yes. So Central North Island, Palmerston North and its grouping.
Yep.
There may be people coming in, and so there's still a few councils around there. I call the term speed dating. I'm still thinking about what the future looks like and the best opportunity for ratepayers. So yes,
Good.
we're trying to give as much time as possible to allow that. I mean, the minister would sit here and say he's provided 2 years. You know, why are we doing this in the last minute? But it's just the nature of how things have transpired as to what the best outcomes for everyone is through this process.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no further questions. You can stand down. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Leave a statement, which is mine. Look, I've had a deep involvement with this, and the big question is sustainability. I think it's interesting that we will still be doing our own thing till July 27. This is some way down the track. But looking at some of the advantages we get from this proposal is, for example, you can't get a water engineer in every council that has expertise, but you can share them. You can share your purchasing strengths together. So this is designed to actually try and bring the costs down, not up. And some of the modelling here shows that that's what's intended here. Okay, that's what I've got to say there. Councillor Maire, you're the seconder.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ed. All I'm saying, it's a good idea in terms of joining hands and keeping the operational costs down. The only concern, as I mentioned before, is the unsustainability of the debt level. And I think if we start on a footing which is wrong, we won't go very far. And we will have to make amends as they come, whether it's 1st March of 26 or is it 1st July of 27, rather than going all prepared to look at very small rate base, which we can afford, not such a 260% debt level, while the history tells us we were not able to pay even 1 cent of the debt we have. It is unserved, so it's more than 10 or 15% rate rises for rest of the life of the rate payer. So I am actually not supporting that debt level. So while I do agree with the concept of the 3 council joining and looking at efficiency, I'm happy with the $500 or 3, whatever figure we have to contribute. But I'm not happy with the water services delivery plan, so I would not be voting for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Williams.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess this is the next step in the government mandate process, and there's been a lot of work, you know, that's gone into getting this far. I just want to thank the staff for having the foresight to have the $350,000 there from the Better Off funding to use. It, you know, it takes a little bit of the sting out of the financials. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Oh, good. Thank you. My apologies for arriving late on the scene too. However, my statement is that I guess with having a look at recent history, maybe we didn't realise how well off we would be if we had the opportunity to follow on with the Three Waters proposal as it then was. But this is the next best thing, I think, and we just need to go with it, make it happen, and hopefully the narrower parochial interests will not determine what happens, but it would actually, the overall good for the region will be the final result. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Larson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I think it's been a really well-run process. We are doing this to comply with central government legislation, and that legislation deems that to go on our own is not financially sustainable, and that is a position that we can present I think that the working group of all the 3 councils in Northland has gone really well. We've gotten to a position where we are in agreement that we will look at the harmonisation across all councils and as soon as possible. And that's really where we're going to be able to all work together and get those economies of scale and benefits through that. So yeah, I think we probably can deliver better water services, but we need to make sure that we keep very tight control on our costs. I have seen this before where we've been promised benefits of having scale, and that last example of that was the Northland Transportation Alliance. And I was pretty sceptical about it at the time. It was promised to us, and I was unable to ever get anyone to demonstrate to us that we were getting a financial benefit for our ratepayers. So we need to keep that focus on making sure that costs are kept down for our ratepayers and that in fact they are getting a better deal out of this as best as we possibly can. So we will push forward with this. I'd just like to acknowledge Councillor Williams and Maire Jepson, who were also in the working group, who did some really great savvy work there to get the best deal we could through these negotiations. And I look forward to working with the other councils to take this forward together in a cohesive, cooperative manner. Thank you very much.
Councillor Howard.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Look, I'd just like to reflect that in a relatively short period of time, we seem to have come an awful long way with a huge amount of work done. You just look at the information and detail that's in here in the whole plan. So I'd like to commend everybody who's been in there, you know, the fortitude of DIA and actually their communications, the clarity of communications that we've had from the likes of Helen, and the work done by our panel working together. Unlike some, I actually, you know, it might take time to come around to it, but I actually think that it is exactly the right way to go and the only way to go. Perhaps the only forlorn thought I had at one stage was, is there going to be a stage 2 or a better option to Three Waters, at least in part? And I think that this is a way we know from central government that there is an absolute demand, an absolute nightmare coming with the amount of money that needs to be spent on infrastructure, such as water infrastructure. So this seems to be the right way. I would encourage all of those in it to heed what Deputy Mayor has just said about not having an unrestrained bureaucracy result out of this. Let's keep the money going to make productive gains, not feed bureaucracy. So that's the only thing. Well done, everybody who has got us there. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else wish to have their say before I sum up? Okay. Thank you. I get the mover's right of reply. I think Deputy Mayor Larson summed it up pretty well. I'd also like to acknowledge the other mayors and members of the panel who got around the table quite a few meetings, and I'd like to acknowledge also Vanessa's work, Marion's work, and David Hawkins particularly for his experience that he brought to the table, and Helen. I thank you, Helen, for making what is quite a complex discussion understandable by our members, because it does take quite a bit to get an understanding of what we're trying to achieve here. So thank you very much. I'll put this to the vote. All those in favour, raise your hand and say aye. 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 Against?
Josh, thank you.
Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda is item 4.2, emergency works remediation land acquisition Mangawhai Road. This will be brought to us by our temporary road manager Kurt Martin and Varonesh Simha.
That's Kurt today.
Well, Kurt, is it? Welcome, Kurt. I'll move this. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Williams, thank you all. Thank you, Kurt.
Morning, Your Worship, councillors. I'll take the paper as read. This is to do with the acquisition of some private land to enable the permanent road realignment of Mangawhai Road that was affected by a slip. You might remember the site. Apparently used to have a power pole in the middle of it.
Apparently.
Yeah, no, so it's taken a long time to negotiate this with the landowner. He's a farmer. They don't like to give land away, but we finally come to an agreement. We need to purchase approximately 700 square meters of land, and there's also be some temporary occupation to put some permanent fill that encroaches onto the land, and that's shown on Appendix B, the plan on there. And we'll have to pay compensation in the order of just under $21,000 for that.
Okay, pretty straightforward here. Any questions though? Thank you, Kurt. You can stand down.
Yeah.
I'll move the statement. Oh, you'll be here for the next one. You might as well stay, I think. Is you the next one? Yeah, you might as well stay. Yeah, I actually drove up there specifically to see that the infamous power pole had actually been moved the other day. I drove back and forth about 4 times because it's been one of those things since Gabriel, hasn't it? Stuck in our side. So time it happened. So yeah, it'll be good to see that job completed so that we don't have such a dangerous pinch point coming into the town. Seconder's statement, Councillor Williams.
Yeah, look, it's great to be moving this project forward. The iconic power pole has been here for a number of years now. When I drove past the other day, yeah, it was quite strange not seeing it there. So yeah, it'll take a bit to get used to, but great that the project's moving ahead. Thank you.
Okay, we've had 2 people speaking in favour of this. Anyone wish to speak against it?
No, I'm not speaking against it.
No, I'm sorry. I've had 2 people talking again. I'm going to put it to the vote. Okay.
I had a question from him. Before.
No, I've stood Kurt down from this. We've been going to statements.
Okay, I can make a statement then.
No, I've just said we've had 2 for. Are you against or for?
I'm for.
Okay, that's good. So we've had 2 speaking for it and none against it. So I'm going to put it to the vote. All those in favour, raise their hand and say
To speak.
against. Motion
I
carried.
don't have a right to speak. How come 2 people speaking?
Chairman has the prerogative. If you have 2 people speaking for something, you can then ask, is there anyone speaking against it? And if not, well, I can put it to the vote. Right.
I take objection to it when we record it. Thank you. The process.
Okay, next item is item 4.3. Application for road legislation through stopping, exchange and vesting Mangawhai Road, Pouto Road. I'll move that. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Lambeth, thank you. Eugene, welcome Eugene. All right, Eugene, I didn't get your name on the thing. Okay, away you go, please.
All right, thank you again. So this is just another instance on the roading network where a section of the former road, Pouto Road, is encroaching onto private property. It was picked up as the adjacent landowners doing the development. And its simple, practical solution is that there's effectively a land swap of equal area to legalise that, and the adjacent landowner will contribute 50% of council's legal costs, etc., and survey costs to do that. So it's a pretty cheap option for council to resolve the encroachment onto private land.
Ask a question.
Yeah, we'll move to questions. Councillor Nair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, I mean, I'm all for these things. And the question I have is why it has to come to the council meeting, these little things. Mr. Morris.
So what is your question, Councillor Nair?
Well, this is like when you go through these things, like the slip in Pahi, you can't repair and you need to acquire some land and go sideways. It is the third time I have been, so why it has to come to full council meeting and little things like that?
These are related to delegations. No staff have delegation to make this decision, therefore it comes to council.
Mr.
It's no change
The CEO doesn't have a delegation for this. Is it possible to have delegation?
if council provides that, but I think
You
there are limitations in the local government Act in 1974. Actually, I think it is in the roading space that it's very similar to road closures as well. That has to come to council. So there are certain things in legislation that need to come to council. This is one of those, and
It'd be good to have them.
you kind of can't.
Send to us. Thank you.
Yeah, we can't delegate stuff that you can't delegate.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Vincent, followed by Councillor Lambeth.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I did post out a question late last night about the fate of Section 1 as to whether it was going to be amalgamated with adjoining land or not, or be absorbed as a result of the subsequent development or what's happening there.
Yeah, so through the chair, it's a standard condition of these kind of agreements that any road that is portion of road that is stopped and vested, a condition of that, it's amalgamated into that adjacent title.
Okay, because I did look for that, but I didn't find that. So that's why I asked the question, because if it hadn't been, then particularly if they're doing a development, they might claim that as a credit in terms of any reserve contribution obligations or whatever. So, yeah, okay. But you've got that covered. Thank you.
Councillor Lambeth.
Yes, through the mayor, mine's very much on a similar line. Just to run over and clear a few things up. The road was on their property and we were using it. It's been picked up when he has gone to subdivide off land. Is that correct?
That's correct. They've gone and done a survey for the subdivision, and the survey, the legal survey, has picked up that the portion of the road's encroaching onto their private property currently.
I'm sure you've got an obliging landowner here, but picks up an error by us and getting him to pay. Is that a bit cheeky? Does this question need to be asked, or should I just?
Well, through the chair, if council wants to volunteer to pay all those legal costs, then it's a council decision, but the agreement has, the landowner has agreed to pay 50% of those costs.
Rightio. Does it often happen like that?
Yeah, more often than not. I mean, the landowner wants to do a subdivision, so they just want to get rid of any hurdles in the way. So quite often, as long as it's not a huge cost, they just agree to this quite often just to get it moving.
He's doing us a great favour, isn't he? Fixing up a mistake. Okay. Be noted that, yeah, to that landowner, I think. Yeah. Thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you, staff. Look, I think it's good that we're fixing an anomaly here, and I've got nothing further to say. Second is statement, Councillor Lambeth.
No, nothing further there.
Any other elected members wish to speak?
I just want to say,
No.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to say these procedural items, I think we should have a discretion somehow, and Mr. Morris, it'll be good to have those rules reviewed for policy matters or whatever it is. And we are just following processes, whether it's dog policy and 30 policies, going on wasting council meeting time on little matters. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak? All right. Move is right or reply. I'll just repeat, it's good to fix an anomaly. And we actually have discussed delegations in the past, briefings and meetings. So that is our policy. And maybe in the future, if you wish to look at it, if you are a member, well, maybe you can. Okay, all those in favour, raise their hands. All right. All right. All against, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next item on our agenda is item 4.4, Mangawhai Museum Licence to Occupy Variation. And we have Fleur Denise and Glynis McCarthy on this one. Glynis online, is she?
We're not sure.
This is coming online.
Glynis is coming online.
Yeah. That's fine.
Demi and Scotty coming, Glynis.
Yeah. Move.
Yeah, okay. And who second the plea? I'll second it. Yep. Councillor Howard, move up. Gibson, second it.
Good morning, councillors, Mr. Mayor. Hopefully you've all had a chance to read the report that's been provided. I'll give you a short summary. on the report. So in March 2021, Council approved the temporary storage of the Deering ship on the Mangawhai Museum's leased area. The Mangawhai Museum Trust now are proposing to establish a permanent exhibition space for the Deering in its current location. And council staff are seeking approval to vary the Mangawhai Museum's licence to occupy to reflect the change and enable the project to progress. So today we're asking the elected members to approve the variation to the LTO that the Mangawhai Museum has with council. And that will be delegated to the CE to finalise the terms of that variation. It's been a big project for the Deering Trust in particular. And there's a lot of, I guess, things that it brings to the Mangawhai region around preserving and showcasing a piece of Mangawhai's maritime heritage, enhances the local identity and educational opportunities for residents and visitors to the Mangawhai region and the surrounding areas. And it also, more importantly, provides a permanent location for the Deering to rebuild. So where the ship is at the moment, that is where the permanent exhibition space will be built in conjunction between the two organisations.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Nair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one question. So I look at the temporary usage from 21 for one year and then extended by another 3 years, right? So it has been 4 years, right? Sorry?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out, if you go permanent, do you have a time frame by which this will be resurrected, the Deering ship?
So the project itself is between the Mangawhai Museum and the Deering ship. So today you're giving approval for it to happen on council land, but the actual project itself is between the two organisations with oversight from the governance group of the park as well. Yeah, so.
You have no information on that?
Look, it could be in the project plan. I haven't got that in front of me.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, thank you. I'll stand down. Councillor Howard, you're the mover of this motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, look, amazing when you think about 4 years since the Deering arrived, and the guys there have done an amazing job to get this to the stage where they can finally see the way forward to build the permanent home for the Deering, which will ultimately become part of the museum. So this is really just a procedural thing going from temporary matter to a permanent matter. So that's all that's really involved in this. As I say, we won't actually change land, but we'll ultimately have a nice building around it. So I think it's good that we can celebrate progress of this nature and get this approved. The one point I would make too, all the commentary that's made is that under policy and planning implications, it does say the master plan outlines the future and current and future uses of the park to be limited to recreation, arts and cultural activities that do not duplicate existing facilities. I would note, Paul, that in the last master plan review, the word commercial aspect was included and approved, and that has been acknowledged by the CEO that it is there in the master plan and just left off, because in fact the museum and what we will have with the Deering will ultimately be part of the commercial aspect of the whole park. Thank you.
Thank you. Nothing further to add to that. Any other elected members wish to speak? Councillor Lambeth, followed by Councillor Nair.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be very, very brief. license to occupy is critically important, and a permanent one is critically important for funding applications. Nothing can go ahead without it. I know I struggled in the past to get a license to occupy funding. So let's get this through, get them on their way. Thank you.
So no,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'm excited for daring. I think we were, as a councillor and as a team, 3 years ago, we were told that we'll have a visit, which never happened. I am more excited if I know what's happening with daring, because I'm committed to bring it to life and making some use of it rather than just giving permanent without any renovation. So I'm looking forward to the day when we actually see the thing happening. I don't know what contribution from council will come, and if the object is just to get money from the council to permanently occupy it, that is questionable. But the intention should be to go for it as a monument, which the people of Mangawhai can actually enjoy, rather than just look at it as in the process, just like the one lying in Whangarei, which has never come to Dargaville for 4 years, I think. It is still in Whangarei. Thank you. So all the best.
anyone else wish to speak? Okay. Oh, Councillor Vincent, you got your hand up there, sorry. There you go.
That's all right. No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I realise that I'm not necessarily right in your face just as well at the moment. No, I'd like to add my voice in support of this. I actually was taken on a tour of the dairying by a chap by the name of Jim Wintle, I think, and no, it's got incredible potential as a repository of historical knowledge, and but it is not something that will just serve Mangawhai, in my view, because it's as an example of its type, it has much wider implications, and this is just a means of ensuring its future, so that it will be a draw card and a place that lots of people can take something from. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williams.
Yeah, look, I just want to say that I fully give it my support, and it's great to have this next stage moving forward for them. I did just want to note in the financial implications that there are no council funds being used for this application aside from some staff time. Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that. Anyone else wish to speak? Okay. I'll wrap this up. Yeah, thanks, Mark, for reminding me about the implications of what it brings to the district. I mean, we've got four actually, marvellous historical museums that focus on different aspects of our district, which has such a rich history. And it's really nice to see that this group over there have, put a lot of effort into preserving quite an iconic boat. And if you look at how many ships went down in the graveyard, for example, what is it, Gordon, about 200 and something?
Yeah,
The years, with the history of the shipping in our district, all the barges, the scows, all that stuff. It's a pretty rich history. So it's nice to have one of those old boats under a roof. It's going to be, a great exhibit for the whole district of what's went before in terms of our seafaring history. Thank you. Right, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour, raise their hand. So aye.
Just be with me for a little second. You just spoke to it. Councillor Howard moved the motion, so he might want to have a right of reply.
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies.
That's right. I'd never mind you
I was the
speaking for me.
Yeah. Go.
Look, I think it's all been said. I think that the significant thing at the end of the day is what a wonderful way to move forward with the ultimate acknowledgement for Jim Wintle. And I think that it's important that we acknowledge Dave Frederick and the Daring team that have been working on it, and Bertie and co that have done all of the hard yards. So we've got it coming, and it is for the whole district. Thank you.
Okay. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour, raise their hand. So aye. Against, motion carried. Okay, next on the agenda is budget carryovers from 225 to 226. Can I have a mover for that, please? So no, can I have a seconder? And so Howard. Okay, presenting this item is Jessie Allison and Kim Jennings. Welcome.
Morning, Council. So we're here today to seek your approval to transfer over some budgets, carry over some budgets from the 2025 financial year to the 2026 financial year. This will be the first look that you've had at the finalised capital expenditure for the 2025 full year. You'll see the full list on the attachment A of all the projects, their budgets for 2025, the actual expenditure for 2025 and the carryover requested for 2026. The total carryover amount is 30 million. And that's made up mostly of capital spend. There's a $341,000 operational budget requested to be transferred over as well. So what we'll do is quite a lot of information in this report. And so we're going to sort of talk through the difficulties in the capital program this year, what's happened to our program and looking to the future. So we did achieve a CapEx spend for 2025 of 40,322,000, and included in the carry forward amount of 30 million, we've got 4.6 million in externally funded subsidies. That's not NZTA, those are in addition. So yeah, I'll basically hand over to the PMO to talk through some of the situation that's led us to these results today.
Thanks, Jessie. Good morning, elected members. Through the chair, I guess the background to this is we have underspent our capital program and we acknowledge that. However, significant progress has been made. Typically, the carryovers come to council every year, but the projects are all sitting in the concept and initiation stage. So it's really important for us to acknowledge the progress and where those projects that we're carrying over is sitting. 85% of the carryovers managed by the PMO have been initiated, and you've got the information in attachment B as to exactly where they are sitting. This level of progress is unprecedented for our council to be carrying them over so far down the pipeline. And of the projects that we've carried over, 28% are multi-year projects, so we would expect to carry those over. Of the 58 projects carried forward, 9 have already been delivered to date, and a further 21 are scheduled for completion in quarters 1 and 2. Overall, there was an increase in capital spend for the projects managed by the PMO, 44% increase compared with last year. Now that's really significant. And also the completion rates for the program managed by us have also increased across the program. So the metrics council will be wanting to expect from us. The organisation restructure has realised opportunities for us to be more collaborative across asset management, procurement, project delivery and operations. And that's also contributing to the progress that we've made. And the PMO has worked really hard, as we reported to you earlier this year, to identify every opportunity that we can to gain efficiencies in how we get this program delivered. We did acknowledge it's a long-standing carryover history, so it is going to take time for us to reduce that. And we hope the results that you see before you today are evidencing the progress we're making. Factors that impacted our ability to deliver the program, which we have consistently reported to council through our monthly reporting, is the comprehensive organisation restructure. We have noted here that had positive benefits for us, but it was a significant amount of staff turnover, and it required us to do a significant amount of retraining and resettling of teams. We also, I won't go through them, but we've noted the key positions that were responsible for a large part of the capital delivery program, which had an impact, and the restructure of the Northland Transport Alliance significantly impacted the roading team's ability. So we expected that there would be some reduction in productivity there. We're now going to just take you through a brief summary. I'll pass over to Jessie to roading, just by activity in terms of the progress that's been made by activity.
Thanks, Kim. Yes, so the roading activity does not go through the PMO. It's quite a different way of to think about roading a lot differently to the rest of the program. They approach their budgets over a 3-year period in line with NZTA. They have fully spent their maintenance and operations budget. There's only very minimal funds that they haven't spent on the roads in their operational budgets this year, 144,000. There is some significant funds there to carry forward of 10.9 million. They have been indicating to you for 6 to 9 months that that was going to be 11.5 million. So they've come in less than what they've been indicating. What else can I tell you about roading? So of that 10.9 million that's carrying over, this is already programmed works. So if you see in your report, I've actually talked about the 8 projects that make up 90% of that 10.9 million. And there's quite a number there. So for example, emergency works is one of the bigger budgets carrying over. Now, just remember the roading team were under the NTA restructure until about September. NZTA did not finalise their budgets, and we didn't finalise the roading team's budgets until about November. So they didn't have much of a window to catch that construction season that's so important to achieving a big sum of money. And they did need a lot of handovers, finding records, working out what the plans were. So those works are planned to be spent in full, the carryover plus next year's budget by the end of Q3, end of summer season coming up. We also have the bridge budgets. There's quite a significant amount of bridging carrying over. There are programs of works, $10.4 million minimum being spent in the next 12 months that will eat away the carry forward plus next year's budget and then some of year 3's as well. We have the road sealing ones and resurfacing ones. They are multi-year budgets. They're all forecasted to be spent in the next 2 years. You have to remember as well that what the team have been doing, because they couldn't take advantage of the construction season, is procuring and tendering and getting prepared so that coming this season, they will be able to spend a significant sum of money. You've also got some unsubsidised works there that are completed under budget. However, it is really important that those funds remain within the roading budgets as budgeted in the long-term plan. What will happen is that they can take that money and obtain further subsidies from NZTA for some of the works that is needed. And at a bare minimum, there's several places inside roading requiring additional funds, such as drainage renewals and the bridges. And finally, one of the other big budgets carrying over is the low cost, low risk local road improvements targeted fund. This was only a new awarded program from NZTA, awarded just before balance date in May. This came to the council table for you to authorise, and it was explained to you then that roading had predicted they would be spending the majority of that fund in 2026 and would need to carry over a lot of that. The other thing impacting roading is you've got to remember we rephase their budgets so as to not impact our ratepayers. So sometimes the phasing of our KDC budgets is according to how we want to rate the ratepayers, whereas they are needing to also manage their budgets with NZTA and focus on those. So sometimes the timing doesn't work out, but any cash flow impact is just temporary. So I'm quite happy to say that I believe all of those funds in roading will be well spent next year. And I'll pass back over this year. Sorry, I haven't moved into next year's financial year in my head. I'm still closing off last one. Yes, you're completely right, this financial year. I'll hand over to Kim and she can talk about the rest of the program that goes through the PMO.
Yeah, and similarly, we're projecting good things across the rest of the program in terms of the carried over projects. So of the 58, we're planning to deliver 53 of those this year. And the remaining 5 are multi-year projects. So that's based on estimated completion dates. In terms of breakdown by activity, open spaces and facilities, we've already delivered 1 and the majority are planned for completion in Q2. We have 1 multi-year in that activity, and just noting that we do have 4 projects currently at risk within that activity. So we will keep a track and keep you informed where we feel projects might be at risk throughout the year as that happens. For the stormwater activity, we've delivered 3 already, and the remaining are planned for this year. For district leadership, all three are on track with 2 already in execution. Flood protection and land drainage, we've completed 2 already and the remaining 2 are planned for completion in Q2. Under water supply, we've completed 3 already and the rest are on track for completion this year. Wastewater, the majority of these projects are in execution. You'll see that in your attachment B. 2 are multi-year, otherwise all projects are on track for completion this year. Solid waste, both of these projects are multi-year projects, so they're on track for delivery at the end of financial year 2027. In summary, the program risks that we've been reporting around staffing, we don't see those as risks going forward into this year because those key positions have all been filled. So we have a full complement now. As I mentioned, the impact of the restructure and our ability to collaborate and create efficiency, we think will continue to provide greater outcomes moving forward as well. So that's our summary, and we will open up any questions.
Questions of Jeff. So no.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Jesse. And now I just have the question I always rave about the projects which have carried over. And if you look at the project list, and you rightly said they are 1.9 million, constituting 85% of the carryovers. And all of them are in Western World, Tahirua, Dargaville Selvan Park, and Tahira Pine Beach, and Dargaville Town Hall. So while I say that, some of the projects have taken precedence.
So what is your question, Councillor Naya, please?
I'm asking, sir. I have to give some context. So that's
you don't. You can ask the question.
Without the context?
Yes.
Okay, so have we fast-tracked some of the projects like Alamar Crescent and Mangawhai Pensioner Scheme over the long-standing projects, the 4 projects, because they have been there for 3 years? Why?
Your questions to me, however, I'm not involved in the planning of the projects.
Okay.
Reporting the numbers and the budgets.
Yeah.
So I'll pass that one to Kim.
Yeah, if you do that. And the Dargaville Town Hall one.
Councillor Nair, do you mind if we ask the question? I think you're going to find the question is no.
Through the chair, we haven't prioritised those questions, those projects over the Alamar Crescent project. The Alamar Crescent project in particular has been in play for a lot longer than the projects you've mentioned. What we have done is focused on closing out those long-standing carryovers, which Council has directed us to do. And for each of those projects, there are individual circumstances as to why the delivery has rolled through into this year. So we would need to talk to each of those individually.
Yeah.
For example, the Taharoa Domain, we've had a condition assessment that has prohibited us from moving forward with what we originally planned. These projects are put into the LTP, 2 years ago. We get to them in the year that they're planned, and sometimes the conditions on the ground prohibit us from, acting on those immediately. Alamar Crescent, we were able to get that delivered. It's that.
Oh, sorry, I'm just clarifying. These 2 projects I'm mentioning, David's Road and Alamar, they were unsubsidized projects. They were not the money allocated from NZT.
Ask the question.
The question is, how can they take precedence over something which is subsidized and sitting there?
I think we've already had the question answered.
$2.2 million, right?
The question has been answered.
The question's already been answered. Thank you.
You said it's not subsidized.
Is there any further questions? Any further questions? Thank you. Thank you, staff. Right. Councillor Nair, you have the mover's statement, right?
Well, all I'm saying is capital projects, when they are carried over, is not a happy sign for me. 30 million is a lot of money. And the roading budget of 10 million actually means 30 million of road works, which we could have done. I am disappointed, as always, taking precedence over the Dargaville projects by Mangawhai projects and done and dusted. And it's not 1 million, actually. The pensioner is actually 4 million. And it is carryover 1.2 is partly of that project. So I think that I'm standing for transparency all the time for 3 years. And I think we have, as a council, have to provide that rather than saying by a signal of thing that is chopped, showing the neck by Mr. Morris was inappropriate, I would say. But all I'm looking for is delivery, not excuses. Thank you.
Okay, councillor Howard, second statement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, look, it fails me at times to agree with councillor Nair, but the 30 million overflow is a significant amount, but you know, it has been well documented and well accounted for, and it's great to see that so much of the work has been done. I think that the only lesson that we might have going forward is just how enthusiastic and optimistic we are in approving annual budgets. But we had, I think that the real, once again, the truth gets lost here. We had an extraordinary amount of additional work thrust upon us through the events of 2022, 23, etc., that had to be done and had to be prioritised. So, you know, it's great. I hate to see this coming, the budget carryovers in terms of potential impact on rates. But I think that that's been discussed in the past. Great to see that we've got these positions, critical positions, that have been completed, which will help progress go through. So that is a real positive, and hopefully there might be some more news in that front in the near future. And look, I have to finish, if you'll excuse me, Mr. Mayor, with a point from the last comment that's just been made by the mover, Councillor Nair. And once again, just a pitiful example of more misinformation put out to everybody here and to anybody who's listening of what his attitude is towards building this west versus east. This is not it. This is nothing to do with us. This is all a process of working through the priorities and the jobs. It was answered amicably by the staff on that there was no such coercion or advantage for one side versus the other in these jobs. So as I say, I'm just appalled at the level of misinformation that we get from the member, and I would like to think it would start.
Hey, what is your point of order?
Mr. Mayor.
Misinformation is wrong, and this is what is provided to us.
It's misinformation. I said it.
Right, I can rule on that. I think that councillor Howard's points are relevant. Thank you. All right, councillor Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, I did have a couple of questions for the staff, but they actually answered them in their presentation, so I appreciate that, because I was concerned that the PMO was sufficiently resourced to be able to deliver, and we've been given that assurance that it is, and we hope that stays the same. And I acknowledge the fact of the restructure and the reabsorption of the dissolution of Northern Transportation Alliance, and the long-standing staff shortages that there have been. But I just really look forward to these projects being knocked off on time and within budget, and I also look forward to a time devoid of petty parochial politics too. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, look, I thank you, Jesse and Kim. I thought it was a very good presentation you gave of where, you know, the money was going to be spent going forward, and it is pertinent that there's a whole bunch of issues out there facing councils with, you know, contractors, weather, you know, the availability of people to do stuff's been quite difficult over the last 3 years. And I'm satisfied that when we get the new construction season, we'll be going for it and we'll get a lot of this work completed. So thank you for your presentation. Councillor Nair, you have the right of reply.
Nothing further to add. Thank you.
Okay, we'll put this to the vote. All those in favour, raise their hands. Say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. I'm going to stop for a wee cuppa. So we'll take, 10 minutes? I'm back at 11:20.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Are we live?
We're not live, but we're recording, but we're ready to go, Mr. Smith.
Okay, welcome back to this meeting Wednesday, 27th of August. Next on our agenda is 4.6, flexible working at Kaipara District Council. We've read the report. Seeing it so close to the election, I see no point in dealing with this prior to a new council. As chairman, I think it's reasonable to lie this item 4.6 on the table. Therefore, I move a motion to lie this on the table. So second, please. Second. Councillor Howard. Right to the vote. All those in favour, raise their hand. Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against. Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next one, 5.1, Raupō Drainage Committee. Who's presenting this one? Alana.
Sorry,
Welcome, Alana. Can we
just tidy up.
hear your croaky voice, please?
Got to get a mover in a second to Mr. Smith.
I'll move it. Can I have a second it? Councillor Williams. Thank you.
Yes, as part of the required triennial review of the ratepay members of the Raupō Drainage Committee, there was a nomination process that took place, and then you may recall that in an extraordinary meeting back in June, Council decided to on 6 ratepayer vacancies for the committee, and there were 7 nominations, so that triggered an election. So the election took place in June, from late June until for a month until late July, the election day being on the Tuesday, the 29th of July. And from that, we had the results of the election declared official on the 12th of August after a 7-day appeal period with no appeals lodged. And so this is just a noting report and to confirm the new members of the committee for the 25-28 triennium. And the new members are David Hart, Greg Gent, Ian Beattie, Joseph Rodriguez, Ross of McKinley, and Grace LeGros. So they are now the new committee members. There are no meetings scheduled for the remainder of the trienniums. They will meet in the new triennium.
Thank you, Alana. Any questions? Okay. Move a statement. Thank you for that. I don't think there's anything to add to that. It's pretty run of the mill. Thank you, Alana, for your work running a successful little election there. And
congratulations, the winners.
Good. Councillor Williams, you'll second it.
Nothing further to add.
Nothing further to add. Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, no one else wishes to speak. All right. I've got nothing further to add. I'll put that to the vote. All those raise their favour and hand and say aye. Aye. Against. Motion carried. Okay, next on our agenda is item 5.2, which is the executive report, and that's to be presented, is it, by
Is the executive team? No financials.
There are no financials. I'll just get Jessie to come up. We had a brief discussion. There to give you a real quick update about where we are with the annual report. As you know, it's not normal. We don't normally report the financials at this meeting because we're in month 1 and we're pushing through the annual report. But I'm going to ask Jessie just to do a quick sort of update about where we are with the annual report, and we'll go from there. Thank you. And you might need, we need to move in a second.
I'll move that. Can I have a second, please? Thank you, Councillor Williams.
Thank you. Good morning still for exceptions report. Well done. So annual report update. We are in the thick of it now. We're at the pointy end of the audit. We have finalised the CapEx. We needed to do that first so that you could have your carryovers that you decided on today, as well as the valuation proceeding. Our biggest risk to the annual report delivery is that valuation, the timing of it, not necessarily the numbers, but just the amount of work that's required. But we are on track. I've received the draft valuation for roading. Which shows the increase in value for our roading assets is about 12 to 20%. So not unexpected, not major, and seemingly going well, though not yet audited. We have received, again, the carrying value assessment for all of our 3 waters infrastructure assets, which has shown no material movement, so we are good in that space. We are close to giving finalised accounts to the auditors. There's a few things left to come through, but otherwise we're in a good space, though it is now the time that we are really busy with the auditors. They are coming in on the 8th of September, and we've probably done about 300 out of 500 of our audit requests so far. So we're close, but the auditors' questions will be the ones that we'll be facing next. So if you've got any questions, I can answer any.
Do you anticipate what those 300 questions are? Like,
Oh, they are usually the normal things that we get asked every audit.
oh yeah.
You know, verifying the numbers, all of our work papers behind the numbers, how we've calculated deferrals, how we've calculated the payroll, you know, all sorts of things that they go through.
That's a very detailed request then.
It's always a detailed audit. It's got to be for the significance of what we're reporting on. Yeah.
Thank you. Any further questions, Jesse? Councillor Maire?
Thank you. Just on page 239, Jesse, all those subdivisions and quite a few are deferred. Is there something we should know, or is it just
normal to defer revenue? If you're talking about deferring revenue on our consents, that's quite normal to do that. We've got lots of accounting practices around when you're entitled to recognise the revenue. So we've got the money in the bank. It's been billed, it's been paid, and it's sitting in our bank. We just can't recognise it.
Sorry, I was just referring to consents of interest.
Okay, I'm not sure. That's not my part of the report.
Thank you.
Councillor Lambeth? Oh, it's all right. Before that, though, Councillor Vincent had his hand up. Councillor Vincent, followed by Councillor Lambeth.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm chasing two mice around the board here, so I've getting a bit mixed up. But no, just my question was regarding this audit process. Can you give an idea of how, like, from start to finish, how long this is likely to take?
Sure. It normally starts for us around April. We have several hundred questions from the auditors at that point in time. They sort of do a year-to-date review on us. They check as much as they can around our minutes and reports from audit risk and finance, from council meetings, from our exceptions reporting throughout the year, and others. And then we get through that little bit and we get to June. Year end's closed off. We obviously need to report on it, and we start being able to do a lot of our calculations and work papers, which you can't do any earlier.
Yep.
That usually takes us to around about July, August. So we're finalising the numbers across the whole of council, both in operational and in capital, and then we can start reporting, putting the financial statements together, and the auditors usually come in September. Our annual report is normally adopted in October. We're trying to do it a little bit earlier this year because of elections. So we want the opportunity for council that drove these works to sign them off, all things going well, because there's a lot of risk there around the audit, provision of auditors. So Deloitte have said they're unsure whether they can actually make that deadline, just because the normal processes, they do their assets last, just like we do, because we're waiting on the valuation. So we've expedited it as much as we can, and it's so far looking like we will make adoption, but the next part relies on the auditors doing their work. So yeah, is that comprehensive enough for you, Councillor Vincent?
Oh,
Through you, Mr. Mayor,
very comprehensive. Yeah.
Oh, through you, Mr. Mayor, if I could just, so we're working really, really hard here in the background here with our auditors to make sure we get this annual report, which is rearward facing, as Jesse has said, adopted by this council. And so we do have a backup plan, and the backup plan is to have an extraordinary audit risk and finance committee meeting on Monday, bear with me, I'll just get into October, Monday the 6th. Oh, thank you, Alana, Monday the 6th, and then recommending to council an extraordinary meeting on Friday the 10th. That is our backup plan, because there are complications as well with the incoming council. And if there is a recount at any stage, then that will push us beyond our statutory timeframes to adopt our annual report. So we're working really hard to try and get it done in this term. And to be honest with you, I think it's fair that this council signs off the annual report for the previous year's work rather than an incoming council. So we're trying hard in that space. I hope that gives you a bit more clarity as well, Mr. Vincent.
Yeah, thank you, because I was just wanting to get a handle on, like, if the auditors are coming in September and our last ordinary meeting is at the end of September, I mean, what's the chances of it making that meeting? I wouldn't have thought very good.
At this point in time, I would give it a chance of about 90%.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, let's see how it goes.
Because we haven't had any checks on our data yet, but we have done a lot of work this year to ensure it's a bit better. So, yeah, we're just going to run the gauntlet, but I think it's good. Good at the moment. I'll know more in a couple more weeks, I'd say. I'll know more about that. Yeah.
Councillor Lambeth, followed by Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There may be a question you can't answer, Jessica. It relates to page 14, basically. No, sorry, page 3 of your report relating to building consents. I won't beat around the bush. I just want to, do you have any indication if the whole building consent team books balance? Why I'm asking this is with Minister Chris Pink's announcement of the amalgamation, and basically there is a threat that this whole thing could get taken over by one of the other councils. Is it rock solid? Have we got a good solid little model here?
When it comes to the BCA, we have one of the highest performing BCAs in the country. So they are very skilled and do really good work in the consenting space. I think we will be talking at Audit, Risk and Finance next week about some of the revenue that we could be analysing or doing slightly differently. I've got some recommendations and improvements on that, but it's not around the fees and charges. It's just about how we record it and our monitoring processes. So that I'm not concerned. I think that it's too early to put something on what's going to happen with those reforms. I do understand from the building manager that he thinks that it's a voluntary scheme to amalgamate, and it's unlikely that would ever amalgamate with Auckland because of the differences in our buildings and our consentings. There's a chance with Whangarei, but I doubt that. And potentially he sees it more as potentially in the future, once the laws are written and we actually understand it, that potentially we'd help do some of Whangarei's consenting for Waipu areas which are close to Mangawhai or vice versa, but not thinking at all that we will be amalgamating our BCA at this stage, given that it's so high performing and it would be a large risk. Yeah.
Thank you. On up.
Thank you. Councillor Howard, I think you had a question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got 2 questions to do with procurement, Jessie, if you can help me with the answer. The first one is that stormwater extensions has gone back out for tender, or got to go back out for tender. Is there a timeline for that?
That Wood Street? Which?
No, this is Pouto Place and Stingray Lane.
To get the General Manager of Strategic Improvement here, or Service Delivery walking away.
Leaving. What answer?
I think it's a question.
Ignoring me.
Do you mind asking your question again, Councillor Howard?
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. I was just interested in the procurement status for two items here, and one is the stormwater extensions for Pouto Place and Stingray Lane. Just where are we at? It says that we're going to have to go back out for tender. Has that been let?
No, it hasn't been let, and as it states, we will need to go back out to tender.
Okay. And could we please have an update, if you can help me here, on, I know it's a month or so since we decided about actions on the Dargaville Town Hall. I'd be keen to know what's happened in the intervening period of time.
This is a tag team.
Thank you. So through the chair, at the past council meeting, council voted to stop the project, cancel the procurement and restart it. So we've cancelled the procurement. We've handed the project back to the property team and the community engagement team. Their first port of call now is to address the unsanitary building notice, which expires at the end of this week. To do that, they need to do a full condition assessment report on the current status of the town hall and the wider complex. Because the current unsanitary notice had a the data was there, it was aligned to the works that we were doing based on the plans that we were delivering through the initial project. So now the condition assessment will take place, I think, in the next couple of weeks. And that will be able to give the building team something to go on and give us direction on the unsanitary building notice, whether or not they renew it with the plans that we are going to go out and consult with the community, or whether they give us a notice to fix. I don't know what the building team will do, but that's the first step.
That's the first step.
The next step will then be going to the community and saying, what do we want to see there?
Okay. Thank you.
Just one other bit of update on that one. So you'd see the picture in the paper of the weeds growing out of the guttering and all that sort of stuff. That has been fixed and remedied now. Yeah.
Okay, any further questions? Councillor Williams?
Okay. I just had a question on consents of interest. 258 lot subdivision Mangawhai Central, and it says deferred. Is there any further information on why that's at that status, or is
stage?
Michael?
Just out of interest.
Come a bit closer, Mike, so they can hear you online.
Come close.
Be shy.
Close,
Team for sure today.
Yeah, look, I'm envisaging that's the stage 2 and stage 3 consents which were issued about a week and a half ago. Now.
Oh, okay, so it's moved on since this report. Okay. Great. Thank you, Michael.
Any further questions? Thank you, Jesse. You can stand down. Look, I think for that I've got nothing to add. Councillor Williams?
Nothing further. Thank you.
Any other elected members wish to speak? Okay, movers right to reply. I'm not going to add to that. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour raise their hand. Say aye.
Aye.
Against, motion carried. Thank you all. And we welcome back Croaky again, Alana. The resolutions register update August.
It's me, Might again, moving a seconder, and we do this every time.
Okay, I'll move that. Second that. Councillor Howard.
Happy to take questions, actually, Council, as normal.
Through them.
No, you've all done your
pretty good. I asked questions last time.
So we're noting this. Is there any questions? Councillor Williams.
Item 2 on page 4 for the engineering standards. It says that there's been a recommendation formulated which we presented to the council in September. So that's still on track to come to that meeting? Yep. Okay, great. Can't wait to see it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you. You can stand down. All right. I've got nothing further to add. It's pretty straightforward. Can I go to Councillor Howard?
Nothing further to add.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. I'm not going to add to that either. All those in favour raise their hand. So aye.
Aye.
Against, motion carried. Okay, now I need to move to go into pets. So I'll move that. Can I have a seconder, please?
Yep.
You, Councillor Maire. All those in favour raise their hand. So aye. Aye. Against, motion carried. Okay, the first item.
Chair, just give us a moment. We're going to stop the recording.
Oh.
Recording.
Okay.
Yeah.
This.
I would have read that.
I don't know how to do it.
You can do it. You can do anything.
You can get Kelly to do that. Kelly, squash the noise, please.